Hello children, how are you? Once again a very warm welcome from my side. And as last time, the video which I shared you was about the syllabus of class 12 English core. Today we are going to start with the prose section of our book Flamingo. Okay, and that is chapter 1, the last lesson. Okay, which is written by Alphonse Daudet. He is a French writer and a novelist and a short story writer. And this particular story is set up in a war period, exactly when France and Prussia was having the war. Before moving ahead with the lesson, I would like to tell you one more thing very important, that as we are in online teaching class, it's not possible that the entire chapter I'm going to read and make you understand line by line as we usually do in our original classroom. Because for literature, it's very important that you should go through all the reading process. That is very important. So if you're having the book, kindly take it out. And I still emphasize that within this period when we are not meeting in the school and our online classes are going on, kindly read the lesson. That is very important in English, because it not only actually enriches your reading skill, but it enhances your vocabulary also, and apart from that, your pronunciation. Okay, so if you are having the book, kindly take it out. If you are not having, doesn't matter. Whenever you get the book, kindly just do the favor that you are going to read the lesson line by line. Okay, and the second most important thing is, if you are having the pen with you or the copy, any copy of copy at present, kindly take along with you, because there are some important points which I am going to make you notify. Apart from that, I will be giving you home assignment, whatever things I'm doing. Okay, so as I told you, we are about to now start our lesson, that is the last lesson by Alphonse Daudet, a French writer. Now this story is based, or rather set, in an era when Franco-Prussian War in 1870 and 71 was going on. Franco means France, and Prussia at present, these three countries were at that time, 1870 and 71, were under a combined nation called as Prussia. Okay, that is today known as Germany, Poland, and some parts of Austria. Okay, some parts of Austria. So these three actually comprise of Prussia nation. And in this war, what happened? France was defeated. What happened? France got a defeat. And the two districts of France, Alsace and Lorraine. What is that? Alsace, it's a French name, so a little bit difficult pronunciation, but once you give a try, it's fine. Okay, so it's Alsace and Lorraine went under Prussian custody. And then the story is based on that particular theme. So I hope till here you got my point, that the story is set in an era when France and Prussia war was going on, and under Prussia, what all nations which are called today Germany, Poland, Austria were there, and France actually got a setback. It got a defeat, and what happened? Its two districts, Alsace and Lorraine, went under the Prussian control. Now we will straightforward move towards the theme of the lesson. What is the theme? Can you guess what is the theme? If I give the reading to the chapter, you are easily able to get the theme of the chapter. Got my point? Before moving ahead, I would like to tell you the theme. The theme of this chapter is, the first and the foremost basic thing is impact of war on the lives of the people. Okay, that is the first and foremost important theme. Impact of war on the lives of people. Okay, fine. And the second theme is importance of one's own language. How the war affects the people, and then what is the importance of one's own language, that is linguistic identity. Like we are Indians, so our linguistic identity is our own mother tongue. So France people linguistic identity was French. Fine. So these are the two main themes of the chapter. Okay, I hope I'm not going very fast. So now I will start with the particular thing, that how it started. Now there are two main characters in the story. I'm just going to rub it because my board is a little bit small. So again, you have to be very particular about the pronunciation because it's a French accent. There are two main characters. M. Now it is Emil. H-E-M-E-L, but you are going to pronounce it as Emil. H is silent. He is a teacher, a French teacher, and he is teacher since, like, his teaching experience is 40 years. Since last 40 years he is teaching. And the second one is the student, and his name is France. Okay, and Emil is the teacher and France is the student. Now what the story starts with, that France is very hurriedly going towards the school. Okay, as the day has already started and he's supposed to reach the school on time, and in that way, on the way toward the school, he was just recalling in his thoughts that teacher Mr. Emil has asked him to be prepared on the lesson called as participle, and he was not at all ready for that. But still he's just hurriedly walking towards the school, as he is in a fear also that he does not know the single letter of P participle, what to do and what not to do. And on the way towards the school, what happened, he saw a big crowd in front of the bulletin board. You know what's the bulletin board? As this is my board, it's a small board, and you know we have a notice board in our schools where all the notices are placed. Likewise, in public places, that is a notice board, also called as a bulletin board. That is a board which is meant for communication, where all the government posters or notices are placed over. So there was a lot of crowd in front of the bulletin board, which France observed while going towards the school, as he was walking in a very hurriedly manner. And what happened, you know? He wanted to stop, but he don't want to bother because he was already late for the school. And this bulletin board is very important thing in this chapter. You can note down at this point of time the very first question for the assignment. I will be giving you home assignment in the middle so that you better understand it. The very first and very common question in board examination which is asked is, what is the importance of bulletin board? If you are having book, and whenever you get the book, you just read it. It's very clearly written in the book. All the drafts, all the information, all the news of the lost battle since last 2 years have came from that bulletin board. You know, you understand? Bulletin board is a notice board either way, and all the since last 2 years for French people, this bulletin board has been the source of information, and all the bad news, rather, all the information of lost battles, all the drafts of the commanding officers were placed over there. So the correct and appropriate answer this time also in your board examination, this question came, what is the importance of bulletin board? So all the bad news, all the information, all the drafts or all the commanding officers notices from the commanding officers. This much if you write, you will get or score full out of it. So you understood what happened? Franz was on the way to school. He saw a lot of crowd in front of the bulletin board. He wanted to stop, but he didn't bother. Apart from that, he never wanted to go to school because it was a very bright sunny morning. And what happened? Birds were chirping. He does not want to go to, but somehow he overcome his emotions and he went toward the school. In the middle, he was interrupted by that blacksmith. Hey boy, you walk slowly. And as soon as he entered to that area of school, what he find that everything was calm. Usually the school, that particular school environment was full of bustle. If you read your book, the bustle was full of noise. The lessons were actually chanted a loud manner. Teachers actually using the ruler and wrapping it on the table like this. So there was a lot of noise in the school environment. Usually it happens like that. But this time, when he entered in the school, Franz observed that it was as quiet as a Sunday morning. And he just was about to enter the class. He had a glance, or he'd rather peep from the window. Everybody was there on the seat. Means class was already started, I think so. Even the teacher, Mr. M. Emil, was in his place. And now he was really blushing. Oh my God, I have to enter in front of everyone and I get a scolding from a teacher. What happened that moment when he entered? He just entered. The teacher, Mr. M. Emil, might he was like that every time he was a scolding. Whenever you come late, and teachers are always like that. If you come or enter late in the class, they will scold you. So, but this time he was surprised that Mr. M. Emil, in a very casual way, what he told to Franz: "Come on, dear boy, we are about to start without you." Franz was shocked. Oh my God, a great change in Mr. M. Emil's. And finally he gets settled in his seat. And then, what he saw? He observed something different. Already he observed one difference, that the whole environment in the school was very, very calm. Which usually what happened? It was great and very noisy environment. And the three things he observed. Who? Franz. What did he observe? The first thing was the environment was very calm. Second thing, dress of the teacher. Dress of the teacher. And the third thing he observed was villagers sitting on the last benches. As soon as his eyes were on these last benches, he was shocked, because usually these last benches were empty. And seeing the villagers, as he settled down, he was just like, the environment was calm. And Sir was wearing, Mr. M. Emil was wearing a beautiful green coat, a frilled shirt, a black cap, embroidered one. Usually, this dress Mr. Emil used to wear when it was a prize distribution day or an inspection day. Got my point? So he just recalled, what is special about today? What is special about today that Mr. Emil is wearing this dress? And the third thing is villagers. You know who were the villagers? The former mayor, the former postman. Everybody was the hussar. Oh my God, why these people are there? And one of them were holding the book, the old book also. Franz was just in a commotion or in a confusion that what is happening around in my class. Soon, some words struck in his ears, and Mr. M. Emil, the teacher, announced, "Dear student, this is your last lesson. Dear student, this is your last lesson." As the order from the Berlin have came that from tomorrow onwards, only German will be taught in our schools. And tomorrow, the new teacher is going to arrive. So, as this is the last lesson, dear students, I want all of you to be very attentive. And one word has been used over there in your book, thunderclap. What a thunderclap, these words. What to me? This was a word. Thunderclap means, thunder means, oh my God, bijli kadakna. Is tarah ke words. It just, that word acted to Franz as a thunderclap. Oh my God, what's happening is the last lesson. Now he concluded that why there was a big crowd in front of the bulletin board. And you know, hearing this, Franz actually sunk back in his heart. He really got sunk back. Oh my God, from tomorrow onwards, we have to learn a new language, the language of our enemies who have defeated us. He was shocked. He was really grieved. He was thinking, he just started thinking in his mind and heart. All these days, all my books, all my lessons, I always thought as a burden for me. I always thought as a burden for me. And see what has happened. See what has happened. Now, tomorrow onwards, this language which is mine is going to be taken away from me. It's going to be taken away from me. And that's why he just came to the conclusion that that's why all the villagers, everybody is there to pay respect to the language and to this 40-year service of Mr. M. Emil that he has done for us. And sooner or later, it was the turn of Franz, you know. He was just in his thought. He was just grieving. And then what happened? That his name was announced, because that was the day when the teacher asked them to be prepared for participle. Very trembling, very shaking, in a very shrieking and fumbling voice, he started to recite. He was not able to read the lesson properly. He hurriedly came back to the seat. And then Mr. M. Emil gave them a good reply, or rather a good message. He told why it's like with us. We are not able to speak and write in our own language. Why it's today like us? Because Franz was a student and he was not able to recite the lesson very properly in his own language. He gave the first reason that we as a children, here at this point of this lesson, you know, there is a great set of realization and admission. Admission means admitting. Mr. M. Emil is admitting his mistake also as a teacher. He tells the students, very first thing, that we always consider, my dear children, that we have plenty of time. That's why we never focused on our language. He said, my dear student, we always were in ignorant, careless manner. We are having plenty of time. And see where we are now. What we are going to say other people? That we are not able to read and write in our language. We don't know how to read and write in our own language. Such a shameful people we are. There is a feeling of realization by the teacher for everybody and for himself also. Then he said that even he admits, Mr. Emil admits. What admits? He admits two things. He admits two things. First, he was never serious as a teacher, because whenever it was at school hours and whenever he feel that water, his flowering plant should be watered in the garden, he always asks his student to go and water the plants. So he tells the students, it's my mistake also. I always ask you to water the plants during the school hour. During school hours. And second point he discussed, I always give you off or a holiday off when I like to go to fishing. Here, Mr. Emil, in front of the entire class, is admitting, in spite he is having 40 years in this line of teaching, that, oh my God, he's telling that I am also the culprit for few people. I am also the culprit of my language, that I don't take my profession very seriously. I quite often ask you or order you to water my plants when it's the classroom hours. I quite often give you a holiday when I like to do fishing. Moreover, he said, friends, the children were always in a mood that we have plenty of time, and the parents' attitude also he discussed. The parents always want some more money, so that's why instead of sending their children to school, they have sent them to farms to earn money. And these were the 3 and 4 reasons. 2 reasons he gave for himself. From a teacher's side, this is the 2 reasons that I admit that my children, or rather my student, can't learn the language. But parents' attitude were also like that they don't want to send the children to school. Instead, they want more money. And everybody was so silent. And then Mr. M. Emil keep on discussing about the beauty of French language in the class. He said French language is the most cleanest, cleverest and logical language of the world. These words of Mr. M. Emil describing its students in the very last class of its language shows how much love, patriotism and how much pride he has for his own language. And he just wants to pour off everything in the last lesson. It seems that he wants to give everything in the last lesson. Whatever he has not given or whatever he does not forward till date, you want to inculcate in this last chapter, in this last period or in the last lesson. So he's telling, my dear student, French language is the most cleverest, logical, cleanest language of the world. And the very important point he speaks over here, he's telling the children, Mr. M. Emil is telling the children, he spells a word which is in your book. If you're having, you can check. Your language is the key to prison. What is the meaning behind this? This word has been told. The language is the key to prison. Means even at this 11th hour, when he declares that from tomorrow onwards, you will be not allowed to speak or learn in this language, or this French language will be snatched from you. You have to study in German language, which is some other language. He is giving a ray of hope. This is a ray of hope in this 11th dreadful hour. Key to prison. He speaks this line, this phrase, key to prison. What does it mean? He wants to convey to his children, my dear students, never forget that your own language, never forget that your own language will act as a key to prison. It means when you will be enslaved, you will be under other, you will be captives. Your own language is the only way through which you can achieve the freedom. Understood? This is the meaning of key to prison. Till here, I hope you very well understood the chapter, that how friends entered the class and M. Emil declared, as he was just in a confusion, that why the environment is so silent, why then Mr. M. Emil is wearing so beautiful t-shirt, the frilled shirt, beautiful green coat, the frilled shirt, the black silk cap. As soon as he was just about to reach to conclusion, it was announced by Mr. M. Emil that is the last French lesson. from tomorrow or onwards, you will not be able to learn it. So the class starts way, and how he gave 4 reasons behind French people carelessness. That how children always think that they have plenty of time, and parents always think that they want to earn little more money, so they used to send their children to farm instead of school. And thirdly and fourthly, he actually designated himself responsible for not actually inculcating the French language within the children. And should I continue? Are you not bored? I hope I will continue. So, I was just revising that he held himself responsible with the 2 reasons, and that was number 1, that he always quite often ordered the children for watering the plants, and he always gave an holiday off while when he want to go for fishing. And then you all know that how he describes this key to prison. He tells the people how clean, cleverest the language is. And then the next thing happened in the class. That is, the next part was Mr. M. Emil read one of the grammar books, and then he already brought some new copies so that they can write something in French. And that new copies were actually written Alsace-Lorraine. And when he started distributing one by one to the children, that you write in these copies. As this is the last class, for France it appeared that these copies were like a floating flags. Means the scenario, the whole, in the class, the moment was like full of patriotism. They were full of grave, because in a very grave and gentle tone, Mr. M. Emil announced that the order have came from Berlin, and that tomorrow onwards the German will be taught in the class. So what happened? The full environment was very calm. They were very grieved in their heart, rather grieved in their heart, and everybody took out the pen and started writing. And there was such a stillness in the class that only the scribbling, what they were scribbling on the paper, that sound can be heard. You can understand what minute, fine sharpness of fine or quality of silence was there. And while just writing something in that copy, just Franz had a look on the top. And there was a bird called pigeon cooing in a low voice. And Franz was so filled with the feeling of grief, repentance, patriotism, moreover, pride over one's language, you can say, that what he said, will they ever make these pigeons to sing in German? This is a sarcasm. This is written in your book. This is written in your book. You can underline. Will they able to make the pigeons sing in German? Like this, he just looked up and just said this word. What's the meaning behind this? Whenever a country gets defeated, it is captured or overpowered by the other country. So that country, the people of the country are under the control of the winning country. Like we people were under the control of Britishers. So everybody, the entire country comes under the different rule. But do you think these animals, these birds, do the rule apply to them? The pigeon is a sign of freedom over there. That's why the words which were spoken, or rather thought, in Franz's mind, while just writing in his copy, will they ever make the pigeons to sing in German? Pigeons are the sign of what? Freedom. Means even by war, or by your power, or by authority, you can rule over the people, but you can never rule over the nature or God-made things. That is the thing. Okay, and while he was just writing and thinking, he gave a glance to his teacher. What was his teacher, Mr. M. Amel, doing? What was his teacher, Mr. M. Amel, doing? And, the poor teacher was lost in his own thought process. He saw Mr. Amel looking here and there. He saw Mr. Amel looking outside the window towards the garden. Mr. Amel was lost in the thought process. He was just looking all around the desk and chairs, which he has been around for last 40 years. All those garden where the walnut and hopvine, these two trees are mentioned in your book. Walnut and hopvine trees are there. And by the meantime, he also heard that trunks were made here and there as a sister of Mr. M. Amel were just doing the packing as they were about to leave. So the teacher was lost, totally lost. And he was lost in his thought. He was very grieved. And what happened? Soon as the teacher was lost in his thought process, the children were writing. The clock at the church struck 12, means dung, dung, dung. At that time, the striking of the clock came, and everybody was again back to their life. What they heard, the Prussian soldiers who defeated the French army, they were marching like this, tramping towards back from their drill that was heard from the classroom by everybody, And what happened? Mr. M. Amel, he was a poor teacher. He was so grieved. He was about to cry. He was not about to laugh. He was about to speak. He wanted to speak something to his entire class as it was the last lesson. But his words got, choked. His throat got constipated. He was feeling suffocation. He was not able to utter the word. Who? M. Amel was not at all. And what he did, he just took a chalk and on the blackboard, he just wrote something. What did he wrote, He wrote something. And he wrote in a broad letter, it is written in your book. You can check it. This means he wrote Vive la France. He wrote very clearly Vive la France. It means long live France. See, in this dreadful hour for a teacher who has taught 40 years of his life, he has spent teaching his own language. He was today so sorry that this is the last lesson as they got defeated in the war. And their own language will be snatched away from them. And that's why he was trying to give everything. It was seeming that Mr. M. Amel tried to pour out entire 40 years experience in one class. He just was feeling that I want to inculcate everything about my language. He does not know what the next day is going to happen. So, at the last moment of the class, he just wrote, Vive la France. It means long live France. He was not in a condition to speak. He just gave a waving of the hand that the class is over. And in this way, the chapter ends here. My dear children, this chapter is all about your own language identity, your linguistic identity. Here in this chapter, the French people were actually compelled to speak, think in other language which is not theirs. Their own language was snatched away from them as they got defeated by the Prussians. This chapter focuses on the two main themes. First, how the war has impact, or what impact war has on the lives of the people. So how we very clearly we saw that war has a great impact on the lives of the people. And the second and a very important thing is about linguistic identity. How people of one's country is known for their linguistic, for their own language, and how they have they actually feel pride. And that's why the two words he used, the very important key to freedom, means if you're having your own language, if a community is having its own language, if a nation is having its own linguistic identity, then even the nation is overpowered. If even the nation has been enslaved, one day that language will act as a key for the prison. That is the theme of this chapter, that how the people were in shocking state, when their language was snatched from them, when they came to that dreadful moment when the order came from Berlin that this language, their own French language, will never be taught in their school. It will be snatched away from them, and in other language you have to study, read, write. Then they understood it. Then they understood the importance of their own country. Then they understood the importance of their own language identity. And Emil was in more sorrowful condition than Franz. Franz, at that dreadful hour, he realized that how nuisance, how bored my books looked to me. But now, it was so shocking for him. Now those words were acting as a thunderclap to him. So, my dear student, I end my chapter over here. The last lesson by Alphonse Daudet. Okay? I hope you enjoyed the lesson. This lesson is based on the theme of the impact of lives. Impact of war on the lives of the people. And second, importance of one's own language. And the two main characters, Mr. Emil, never pronounces Emil, it's Emil, okay, actually silent. The teacher who is actually rendering his service as a teacher for 40 years, and how he felt in that last lesson. How he wanted to pour everything out as a teacher to his students, and how everybody, right from the student, right from the teacher, right from the parents, were in a sorrowful, grave state that their language was being snatched. But still in that last lesson, the ray of hope Mr. Emil gave to his students. Language, your own language, is the key to the prison. And long live France. The chapter ends here, and I gave you one question regarding it. That is the very only one question I gave you. What is the importance of bulletin board? Okay. The second question I will give you is, what those words were the thunderclap to me? Which words were those? Explain. Those words were a thunderclap to me. How? When, where Franz actually realized, when he realized, and what were the words? Thunderclapping words. Okay, I will be forwarding you other home assignment, but for now only these two questions I am giving you. Hope you understand this lesson very well, and again I am emphasizing, just go for reading of the lesson also. In literature, though it's an online classes, and for us it's not possible as present, I don't know how many of you are having books or not, but I do believe that you are very good students and you are going to read the book. And stay home, stay safe. Till then, bye bye my students. Have a nice day.